I'd like to talk about cultural appropriation. It seems to be a hot topic these days, and well, I like hot topics because it makes people think, and well, more often than not, it makes people stop thinking because they get all rigid and unable to distinguish between their own egos and the thing that they've latched onto as being part of them, when it's not. Ideas are not part of you. Even if they come from you, they're not part of you. You may end up discarding an idea that you had because you realized how ridiculous it is. So let's try to set aside our egos here and just talk about culture, about cultural appropriation. Okay? I I keep hearing about it. Okay? Cultural appropriation. Everywhere it just seems to be omnipresent these days. Bruno Mars keeps on getting accused of it, and various other people, usually famous people, get accused too. If you're claiming this based on your race, okay, you have no basis to complain, since whatever your race, and there is no such thing as a culture for it. I challenge you to identify one single race that has a single culture. No way, Jose. Not based on any cultural not and racial divides that I've seen. Okay? It doesn't exist. You go to Hawaii, they don't have one culture. You go to Indonesia, they have hundreds of cultures. China has hundreds of cultures. America has hundreds of cultures. Then you talk about continents, okay? There are thousands and thousands of cultures in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in South America, and North America too. Yet there are only a few races worldwide. We're talking about 5,000 to 8,000 cultures globally, some of which are disappearing, versus a small amount of races. If it weren't for cultural appropriation, all aspects of those cultures would be gone forever once they were gone. Granted, there are some aspects of culture that I wish would disappear, like racism. But that's also a psychological problem. Xenophobia exists in the mind. So, throughout history, culture has been shared. Yeah. Transplanted, transmigrated, stolen, imitated, and appropriated in other ways. This is a natural process that always occurs, especially when one group admires the other or something that other group does. Without this, the world as we know it would not exist, and it is unlikely that we would have advanced to the current state of technology, not even remotely close. Because if you bar advances in one culture from being used in other cultures, it's just stupid, okay? If you're going to yell cultural appropriation as if it's a bad thing, then you'd better stop eating all the food that doesn't come from your culture that you identify with, yeah? Because cultures and foods are often closely linked. You'd also better stop applying any techniques and styles for music, cooking, clothes, fine art, performing art, fabrication, and well, just about everything else, and go back to the way your culture did things. Probably have to give up your religion for that matter. I mean, if you look at it, except for the new fraudulent religions created in America, the vast majority of religions were created in either the Middle East or in Asia. Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and a whole bunch of other ones. Those are all Asian and Middle Eastern, or basically Asian continental creations. There are very few outside of that, except for from South and North America and Africa, but those don't even dominate, and they're often animistic or otherwise not interesting to the masses, like Mormonism, which is an American religion that's supposedly Christian, but except for if you talk to other Christians. So, if you don't want cultural appropriation, oh dear. So no more visiting foreign nations or even other cultures within your own countries, because you might accidentally adopt or share culture. Oh, the horror! Thus, it can be said that complaints of cultural appropriation are not just foolish, but potentially baseless, and it is really a compliment to the culture of origin that it is being replicated. Just one example of how stupid this really is. If you come from the old deep south of America and from an economically depressed culture, get ready to enjoy all the benefits of their diet, which includes pellagra, a disease that is actually caused by malnutrition because the diet of that culture was deficient in nutrition. If you're a sailor, get ready to enjoy scurvy on a regular basis. Heck, it doesn't even matter which culture you're from. Unless your culture figured it out on their own, how to get rid of scurvy, you're screwed. You better stop enjoying Elvis because he culturally appropriated his style from blacks. Blacks who may or may not have been influenced by other blacks or whites or Hispanics. It's hard to say. So, it's not very smart to want to stop cultural appropriation. The vast majority of you will have to stop eating dairy products made from cows. Billions will have to give up coffee, tea, chocolate, and much more. No more pasta for you, bucko. Ballets will be limited to those who qualify. Operas, too. Heck, just about anything you can think of, you're not going to be able to enjoy unless you're part of that culture. Can you see how ridiculous this would be? So please, let's just stop the nonsense about cultural appropriation, shall we? Unless you're going to stop being a hypocrite and abandon everything from foreign cultures and live your culture fully, shut up! Culture is one of the driving forces in the world, and cultural appropriation is one of the mechanisms that allows a culture to spread, for better or for worse. So get used to it. Thanks for watching.